I'm back from CanJam SoCal 2025. And man, what a freaking show it was. Holy cow, it was the biggest CanJam they've ever had as far as I know it. That's what I've been hearing. And yeah, I could see that being the case because oh my gosh, were there a lot of people there. CanJam, if you are not already familiar, I'll give you a quick rundown of what it is. It's basically a big show for headphones. It's a big showcase show for headphones and other hi-fi gear as well, but primarily headphones. It is hosted by HeadFi, and yeah, they are able to get in all sorts of brands from all over the world to come in and showcase what is new or what is their flagship and other gear, whatever they want to show off. It's just a place to go and see a whole bunch of really cool headphone gear. That's the gist of it. And it just so happens to be that the one in Southern California, which is the closest one to me, this year was the biggest event they've ever had. So congratulations to them for that. It was a very cool show. It was very dense, lots and lots of people. It's thundering right now, so you might hear some thunder as I'm speaking, but it was really cool. And what was really cool about it for me is I got to meet face to face with a bunch of people that I work with through email, through collaboration, and through kind of partnerships with other brands. And I got to actually meet these people face to face for the first time this year. So that was really cool. And I also got to meet a lot of other creators too. Big shout out to Skeeb23, Ryan Skiba. What a dude, man. He and I really kind of palled around the entire event, and I really appreciate him for that because I didn't get to travel with my wife this year because we have the baby. She had to stay home with the baby, so it was nice to have an ally during the event. But yeah, it's a big show, and I got to see a lot of stuff. I did not get to see everything I intended to. I made a big old list of things I wanted to go and check out. I could not complete that list, primarily because there was just too much going on. There's too many things to see. I got distracted sometimes, and other times where I did, narrow down where I wanted to go. It was just too dang busy at that particular booth or in that particular room, and I had to move on. But I did see a lot of stuff, and that's what this video is going to be. This is the highlight reel, the highlight show of my CanJam 2025 experience in Southern California. Oh man, that thunder's really getting in close. It's okay, buddy. My dog's over here. He really hates thunder. He's freaking out. Poor guy. It's all right. It's okay. One thing I did want to point out here, which I thought was really interesting. While this was the biggest show, the biggest CanJam that they have had in terms of like the numbers of attendees, and maybe even the numbers of vendors, I'm not really sure. I get the feeling it had maybe more vendors than last year. What I did notice though is the big wigs, like the big brands that usually attend this show, were not there this year. And we can speculate as to why. I'm sure every brand has their own reason why they skipped this year. But stuff like FoCal wasn't there. Headphones.com wasn't there, which was really surprising. But I believe that they're moving offices or something like that is what I was told. So it kind of makes sense that they skipped this year. Whatever. The point is, a lot of the really big brands that draw the really big crowds weren't there this year at CanJam. And that had this really interesting effect where the traffic that would mostly be congested on these really big brands got distributed elsewhere. So all these smaller brands, it seemed like were getting, from my perspective, a lot more foot traffic than they were in previous years. And I think that's really, really cool. So they were getting a lot more attention than they were the year before. And you can tell that they were kind of excited. Like, I saw a lot more smiling faces at these booths than I have in previous years. Sometimes some of those booths look pretty grim because they're just not getting anyone stopping by. Well, they did this year. People were stopping by because they had a reason to. They weren't isolating themselves in one giant particular table. They were going around and trying out more stuff, and that was really cool to see. So that was a big kind of highlight of this CanJam, was seeing the distribution of people and them spreading out and trying out new brands, new things. That was great. The other interesting thing about this show is that there really weren't many options in terms of things that were new. There weren't a lot of new headphones coming out or new amplifiers. Not a whole lot of new stuff. And you're going to kind of see that reflected here. Some of the stuff I'm going to be talking about in this video is from last year. And that's kind of okay though, because it doesn't have to be brand new to be good. Right? Stuff from last year can absolutely be just as good now, if not even better. And what was neat is the stuff that I saw last year that had just come out that I couldn't really devote a lot of time to because they were brand new devices and were drawing a lot of attention. Now, because everyone had already heard those things and tested them out, I actually got to spend a lot more time with them. And again, you'll see that reflected in this video. So that was really neat. Not a whole lot of new stuff, but the stuff from last year was a lot more accessible this year. And I found that to be a pretty positive thing. So before we get too into it, there was a couple of things I want to cover up front here. The big one, the big thing I want to get out on the table right here is that what I'm going to be discussing in this video, the products I'm going to be talking about, these are not reviews of these products at all, not even remotely. They're barely, I would even call them first impressions. There's just experiences I had with these products there at the show. And I'm saying this because when you are at the show with all the people, all the buzz, all the chatter, it's damn near impossible to get an accurate idea of how things sound. It's almost impossible because there's just too much freaking noise. So that's why this isn't an analysis and a review of these products, because there's no way to provide that in an environment like that. Only when things are here in my studio will I ever give an actual like analysis of something. But I am here to give you my first impressions of what I got to try. And I was thinking of like writing a whole like note list of like break it down how I want to run this video, but forget that. I'm decided I'm going to just go ahead and do this video right here, right now, while everything is still fresh in my mind. So no notes. This is going to be a real brain fart kind of video, but hopefully you can enjoy it. And I'll have pictures to accompany what I'm talking about as I go. I took some pictures. I didn't take a picture of absolutely everything, and it kills me that I didn't, because some of the stuff I got to try was so freaking cool. There are 2 days to the event. The event is primarily on Saturday and Sunday, and it's kind of an all-day event, goes to about 6 p.m. And I broke it down this year where my first day was me kind of going around seeing what was new or what was there to try and any kind of gear I wanted to try out, particularly for headphones and IEMs. And then the second day I kind of dedicated to almost strictly hardware like amps and DACs, specifically to test out this. This is the new Modhouse Audio Tungsten version 2. Yeah, that's a thing. And you better believe we're going to have a video dedicated to the version 2, but I have this is Ryan at Modhouse. He lent this to me to take to CanJam so that I can report to him what kind of hardware worked and what kind of hardware didn't. But he is currently working on a version 2 double-sided tungsten for me right now. When that comes in, you can expect a video on the new version 2. What a cool, you know how much I love the tungsten. If you've seen my videos before, you know how much I love tungstens. And the version 2 really opens up the world of what it could be paired with, because it is more efficient than the original tungsten. So again, we'll talk more about that in another video, but that was the kind of dedicated idea of day 2 at CanJam. What can run the tungsten well? And yeah, I have quite the list to share with you. Okay, so back to day 1, just trying out cool gear. All right, first headphone I got to try at the show. This is like, I zeroed in on this. This is one of the first things I wanted to try at the show. And here it is, the FiiO FT13. Gorgeous. What a beautiful headphone. The finish on this thing looks so much better in person than it does in pictures. This picture here does not do it justice. Absolutely beautiful headphone. Meticulously well designed and machined and CNC'd on that wood. It's so pretty. It's so flippin' pretty. Man, oh man. And it's a closeback, so I got a better sense of how it sounded, but it was just a really kind of lovely, relaxing, ooey gooey, delicious, beautiful kind of sound. It really kind of matches how it looks from what I could tell. I really want to get one of these in because it's so flippin' pretty. And if it sounds as good as I think it did, if it sounds as good as I was imagining it sounding at the time, then that's going to be a hell of a headphone, man. Oh my God. The FT7, also another FiiO headphone. Really well made. Really, really well made. It was also a very pretty headphone. You can really see that driver in there. Oh my goodness. I love that. And yeah, the design was great. The like adjustment for the headband was really, really smooth and nice. It felt really great. Lots of carbon fiber finishes on like the little pieces and everything. It was really, really well made. I could barely hear the thing though. Not because it didn't have power, but just because the noise was so bad. So I can't really comment much on the sound, but it was built really, really well. Looked really, really pretty and very, very premium. Also on day 1, one of the first things that I saw on day 1 was the new VCR Model 1 Mark II. I don't know why they didn't just call it the Model 2, but it's the Mark 1 Model 2. It looks the same. I guess that's why. I tried this at CanJam last year, and it was kind of more marketed as a gaming headphone, but also for audiophiles. And it did a remarkable job at spatial imaging. That was like its big parlor trick, and it really, really nailed that. They had this gaming demo with Call of Duty that was really freaking impressive, and I really liked it for that. The Mark II, though, here, they're aiming for a bit more of an audiophile sort of sound, and you can really tell. It doesn't have the super aggressive bass that the first version had, nor does it have the kind of really trilly, almost sibilant-leaning sparkle and shrillness in the top end. Everything's a lot more controlled to a more musical sound as opposed to a like highly defined gaming headphone. So yeah, they're going in a really good direction with these headphones, man. This thing, they didn't have the same demo there, so I couldn't compare the spatial wearing exactly. But in terms of music, it definitely did a lot better job with music than the previous model. And yeah, it's just a cool headphone. I'm really looking forward to what they're going to do with this lineup. And I got to talk with the creator, the owner of this thing, and man, what a freaking cool guy. And he's got some really great ideas. Let me tell you, whatever he is planning in the future is going to be really, really interesting. But for now, the Model 1 Mark II is, I would say, a pretty good linear improvement from the first version of the Model 1. So if you want a cool freaking looking gaming headphone, also audiophile kind of like headphone, somewhere in between there, this was actually really good. I like this. I did like this quite a bit. Oh, yeah. So obviously Zeos of Z Reviews fame was there, and he did have his new Serene closed back planar. I think he said it's a planar, right? I'm gonna look that up. If it's wrong, I'll make a message here, but I'm pretty sure it is a planar. And man, listen, that thing, I've heard down the pipeline somewhere that this thing's going to be like $150 when it launches. I don't know if that's true or not. If it is true though, oh my goodness, what an amazing value, because this thing was built really, really well. Like all these machine parts worked lovely together. And unless you really hate purple, the color scheme is gorgeous. Like the finishing on the purple on the machining is just so nice. Oh my gosh. And yeah, it sounded beautiful. It really did. I got to hear it more in the hallway than in the actual hall, so I could hear it a little bit better. And yeah, it had a really, really lovely, pleasant sound. And for $150, ooh, this is going to be, I feel like this is going to be freaking a real standout. One thing about it, it's a fairly small headphone when you're considering planars. I always think of really large headphones when I think of planars, and this thing's kind of small. And my concern when I first tried it out, first of all, this is Zeos's pair. He had his own pair with him, so he just kind of took it off his neck and gave it to me and said, here, listen to this. So my first concern though was it's small, and I was worried that the pads were going to be kind of more of an on-ear fit than an over-ear fit, but that turned out to not be an issue at all. The pads had just enough kind of ear volume in there that it really did cut my ears really well. It was not in any way resting on my ears, so that was pretty surprising. And oh my goodness, what great isolation. The isolation on this thing was phenomenal. Like I kind of laughed, and he was like, what the hell are you laughing at? And I was like, well, because I took them off and I was like, oh my God, the isolation on this, the passive isolation, the sound reduction on this thing is remarkable. Like it has a really great seal, which I imagine is going to really contribute a lot to its bass performance. But yeah, that I think is going to be a lot better than maybe anyone was expecting, especially if it's at that $150 price range, because that's a ridiculously good value. Oh my goodness. Okay, yeah, the RAAL 1995 RAAL. So this is one of the like most talked about headphones on earth. I feel like it's one of those. It's like it's the top of the line, top headphone. I mean, it almost has as much kind of cachet. It almost has as much cachet as like the Sennheiser HE1. Everyone talks about this freaking headphone, and it was very kind of intimidating to use. It was very pretty, very gaudy. So if you're not into that, you might not care for it, but really remarkably well made. The machining on it was beautiful. And man, being able to, you can't really see it very well in the picture, unfortunately, but you could turn, I didn't get a shot of the inside of the pad, but you really get a good look at that planar driver, the ribbon driver. It's a ribbon driver headphone. And yeah, what a headphone. What a really like overly engineered design headphone. My goodness. And yeah, very, very pretty, if not maybe a little bit gaudy. Now I did get to try on what is you see in the background of that image. That's the new Woo Audio WA33 Mark II. I'll talk a little bit more about the Mark II a little later, but yeah, I got to drive that on that amp because the deal with the new Mark II version is that it has a dedicated integration for ribbon headphones. So you can run ribbon headphones on there without an energizer. It's all built in to the WA33. So very cool. And yeah, I mean, again, I couldn't get a very good gauge on how it sounded. I'm sure it sounds incredible. I'm sure it sounds super crazy analytical. It definitely gave me the sensation that there was a lot of really fine details being presented, real nuances that were kind of trickling out beneath a whole bunch of layering. But again, it was just kind of hard to really gauge it there at the show, but it was a very, very pretty headphone, a very kind of more of an experience than most headphones when you were listening to it. Okay, so I did visit the Yamaha booth, and I want to really talk about this. So right here is the Yamaha, I think it's the WA5000. There's also the 4000 and the 3000. 3000 is their new closeback. 4000 is their new open back that's based off of the 5000, and it has even the same driver, but it's half the price as the 5000. So let's talk about this a little bit. So their design for the 5000, I think, is phenomenal. I love the way that this thing looks. I think it is built immaculately well. It is so beautiful and machined so well. It is one of the most beautiful headphones, especially if you're into like a very sci-fi techie sort of aesthetic. I think it's gorgeous. And everything's so meticulous with it, even like the adjustment for the headband. And the thing about the 5000 is I feel like it's one of those headphones that sounds a lot different depending on its source. The few times I have heard it, it's been on Yamaha's own giant, really high premium amplifier, which is a very impressive amplifier. I don't think it necessarily makes the 5000 sound particularly great. That might just be me. But the 5000 has always been kind of a sort of sound for me, especially at the price range that it is. $5,000, I believe. Oh my goodness, it's a lot of money. And yeah, it's a really freaking cool headphone, but it always was way, way outside of my budget for sure. And I just didn't think it really fit in that price range. Thus enter the YA4000, which is their new open back. Like I said, has the same driver as the 5000, and it's built basically the same freaking way, just maybe not quite as gaudy with all the like gold accents. And it's half the price. It's half the price of the 5000, $2,500. And again, it's really hard to tell there on the showroom floor, but I'm pretty sure I liked how this one sounded more. It didn't have the same sort of shrillness that the 5000 had that I didn't like. It just was a lot more, I guess I would say it's a lot more relaxed. It had a much bigger bass lift than the 5000. And I don't know, I got the impression I would enjoy this one more if I had time to really sit down and listen to it and try it on different amps. Because again, everything was connected to just their own premium amp that they had there. I don't remember the name of it. Here's the name of it. Here's a picture of it, whatever. And I have to assume because it uses the same driver and it's built pretty much the same way, it probably also is very transparent with its sources. So I'd love to try that on a couple of other things too. But yeah, I was more impressed with the 4000, I think, than the 5000. And then we have to talk about the 3000, the closeback. Also very well made. It is very well made. And the wood shell is very pretty. It's very dark, a very dark kind of maroon mahogany kind of situation. And it's lovely. I really didn't like how it sounded though. I mean, this is a situation where even there in that noisy showroom floor and using a closeback, I was able to hear enough from that thing that I didn't really like it. I don't think it's tuned particularly well. At least not to my tasting. So that's one that I would say I would maybe avoid. I don't remember the price range on that, but I'm sure it's still pretty significant. So of the three, the 4000 was more to my liking, I feel. The 5000 is the prettiest for sure. 4,000 I feel is probably the best value of the three, and the 3,000, the close back, I'd probably just avoid that. Aoun. Now everyone, I say everyone, but a lot of people, when I asked for recommendations, said to go try out the new Aoun AR9000. And I did. Here it is, the AR9000. This is not like the final build of it. They're going to do a couple other things to kind of hide away that driver a little bit more. It's really exposed here, which I can kind of appreciate a little bit. And I know that if they start like putting dampening material around that driver, it's really going to change the tuning on this. So I mean, I don't know if it's maybe the best idea, but yeah, this was remarkably well made. I mean, the Aoun's recent lineup of headphones are just so well machined, man. They're beautiful freaking headphones. And I really like how this one works. This close back, I mean, I'm saying this very open back is what it is. It's a very open back headphone. And yeah, it fit great. It looked great. And it felt great. It was just such a beautiful headphone and such a beautiful fit. And as for the sound, what I could tell you was that it was very intense, very like a aggressive sort of sound that was, I could tell, really engaging and impactful and full of energy. I couldn't really gauge too much else, but I could tell it was definitely a very aggressive, very engaging headphone with a lot of energy. I feel like this is going to be a real popular headphone when it actually releases. But what was at the Aoun booth that took me by complete surprise? I never heard about this. I was not prepared for it, and I was totally shocked by it, was the new Aoun AC55. Look at this little bastard. So these are little like clip-on ear earphones, much like the COS, was it the KSC75s? It fits on just like that. But like, look at them. They're freaking cool looking, man. They look kick ass, and they came with this incredible cable, and they're machined remarkably well. And they do just kind of rest on your ears with that thing that clips behind your ear to keep it on. I'm not going to really judge how well it fit because it's still like an in production model, and who knows how worn out the ones that they had there at the show actually were. But it was a little bit loose on the left ear. Right ear fit a little bit better, so that's maybe closer to what I would expect it to feel like. But it was very similar to the COS 75s. They also sounded great. They sounded great even from what little I could tell there at the show, because they were so close to my ears. They sounded kick-ass. Yeah, I hope that I can get a pair of those in here sometime soon, because that's almost the showrunner for me for this show, for the 2025 CanJam, because I wasn't expecting these at all, and I thought that they were really freaking cool. I thought they were kick-ass. So yeah, the Aoun AC55. Look more into those. Oh man. So, okay, I stopped by the Grell booth, and let's talk a little bit more about Grell, because I think that the Grell headphone, the OA1, I think it is. I'll name it right here if I got that wrong. So this is the like final version of it. This is the like most recent production version of it. It's still in collaboration with Drop, but it is a far different headphone than the one I tried last year when I was at CanJam 2024. I tried the Grell that they had there, which was a mostly complete version of it. It was all silver, and I didn't really care for it, if I'm being perfectly honest. I thought that it just didn't do it for me. I didn't really get the sensation that they were trying to emulate with the loudspeakers, and I thought that it was just kind of like overly bassy and really congested sounding. This, I feel, is going in a much better direction. I don't really know exactly what has changed. I do know that they the one that I tried there at the show was right next to the Dakoni booth, and Dakoni has pads for these headphones, and the headphone the Grell that they had me try on was using those Dakoni pads. And let me tell you, man, it was a very different listening experience than the first time I heard these Grells, and it was just a hell of a lot better. I can't really go into too much detail about it, again, because of the noise, but I did get a much better sense of this like cinematic, theatrical kind of spatial awareness and spatial imaging. Having the driver angled right in front of you, it does give you that. The catch to it, though, is that you really have to position them just right on your head. If they're just a little bit too far forward or a little bit too far back, it kind of kills that immersion. It kills that simulation that they're trying to go for with this headphone. You have to get it just right, which is a bit frustrating. But once you get it just right, it kind of nails it. It did a really It's just such a much better job than the first time I heard it. That's why I'm bringing it up now, because I was so much more impressed with it this time around than I was with it last year. I think that whatever they've changed, I don't know if it's just the Coney pads that made the change, but something has changed with this headphone, and it's significantly better than it was a year ago. I did get to go and hang out in the Apos room for a while, where I got to try the new open back SJY headphone. He doesn't have a name for this thing yet, but this thing's incredible. Oh my gosh, this thing is fantastic. It was a lot more quiet in that room, so I got to hear a lot more of this thing, and man, what a gorgeous sounding headphone. Freaking Jeffrey is just killing it, dude. He's doing incredible work. He really, really is. I know we haven't talked about the closeback SJY in here on this channel yet, but that's going to be changing pretty soon, I feel. But let me tell you, the open back was really incredible, and it's so remarkably thin. Look at this. So it has pads. I had to take the pad off to show you the driver. The driver is only in a 7mm chassis like this. It's so thin. It's amazing. It's so freaking cool. And man, it's so solidly built, so well machined. I know that he's thinking of maybe not doing metal for the chassis for like the final version of this thing, and because he wants to reduce the weight on it. I didn't feel like it was a heavy headphone at all, and I felt that the metal machining, the metal CNC he did on this, I guess, prototype that he had there, whatever you want to call it, it felt amazing. It felt so machiny and rugged and freaking like Terminator cool. It was awesome. It was such a cool headphone. And I love that he's keeping to this square-like design. It's so neat. It's so like unique in this headphone space. But yeah, I mean, look forward to that thing, because that sounded remarkable. It sounded better than those $5,000 Yamahas, let me tell you. Big time. Oh man. Yeah, I don't know what he's going to call this thing, but it's amazing. Look forward to that. Also at the Apos, in the Apos room, I got to try their currently still in production Apos X Capra Audio Ibex. This thing's really interesting, and at $250, it's going to be a pretty compelling choice, I think. Still a work in progress. They're still trying to get the final tuning for this ready, but what they had to show there at the booth was really something, absolutely the right direction. It was super comfortable, first of all, and very well made, very simple. I love how simple it is. It's not flashy and gaudy. It's not, trying to do anything super fancy and, really blow you out of the water with its aesthetics, but it has very consistent aesthetics. The grill, the mesh of the comfort strap, and also, and I don't have a very good shot at this, I'll zoom in to try and show you, but even the pads themselves had this mesh to them, and it all matched together to make this like theme for this headphone. It's really, really cool. It's almost like this like aliens type of aesthetic. I don't know. It's just, I really like what they're doing with it. It looks really cool. The pads were great. I believe they said they're going to offer 2 sets of pads, the pads that were on there, and then also a thicker, more angled sort of pad. I didn't have the opportunity to try the thicker angled pads, but I guess you're going to maybe have both pads available for some tuning options. But yeah, sounded great. Sounded really nice and pleasant, very natural and even and well balanced. And I'm looking forward to the actual release on this, because I think they're going to have a pretty compelling value here. Another headphone that I got to try there on a whim. I did not plan on this. They just happened to be standing right next to me at the time with this headphone. I got to try the still to be released ETA Yuli headphone. And I cannot believe I didn't take a picture of this thing, because holy shit. Oh man, what an insane headphone. What an insane headphone. I can't believe I didn't take a picture of this thing, because it was wild. You think you're ready for this thing, but you are not. You are not ready for it. I'm going to try really hard to get one of these in this studio, because this was wild. It's ETA's. If you're not familiar with ETA, they're a small boutique headphone manufacturer in New York. They make crazy headphones. They are just freaking awesome. I love their origin story. Read about that. And yeah, the Yuli is what they're currently working on. And I got to try their almost finished release version of it. And it was remarkable. What a wild freaking headphone, man. Nuts. I can't wait for that thing. It's kind of their solution to the Sennheiser like HD 800. That's kind of the comparison that they gave me. It's like, this is our answer to the HD 800. I can see that. I absolutely see where they're going for with that, because this thing, from what I could tell, insane soundstage, tons of detail, the super cinematic, crazy experience all around you, and just an enormous headphone, like almost comically enormous. And I love it. I love it. It's like almost if it's like a PUD headphone kind of headphone, man. It's so ridiculous. I can't wait for that. That's going to be wild, wild. I cannot believe I didn't take a picture of it. What the hell was I thinking? Now, obviously, there were also a ton of IEMs at this show, and I did try quite a few IEMs. A couple of standouts. I'll go over them quickly, because with IEMs, everything changes so quickly, and there's so many. A couple of good standouts. FiiO has a new one either out right now or coming out soon called the Rockies. Those were dynamite. They were very, very aggressive and, well, not aggressive. They were very, very musical, very cinematic. I also tried the new Apos Audio X community rock lobsters. Those were super fun. They are very aggressive, super aggressive, very much a like rock and metal sort of IM. They were really fun. I love the design on the rock lobster. I think they look kick-ass. Oh, and also back to Heidi's, they have a collaboration going on right now with Duckbloke. Duckbloke, if you're not familiar, I'll have a link to his channel in the description. Here he is, Duckbloke. He does EQ profiles for IMs, and he's kind of a nut job, and by that I mean a genius. And yeah, he has a collaboration with them for their M12s. Like, he has his own special bright all red version of the M12s with his EQ that he put into them. Crazy, super freaking cool. If you have the chance, check it out, because he's a super cool dude. I love what he's doing. He's doing stuff I could never even think of doing. And yeah, his collaboration with the M12 is nuts. So intense, so wildly engaging and fun. Crazy. But I will say though, when it comes to IEMs, I stopped by the Moondrop booth, and I'm going to give a little bit of a word of caution here. I don't know what's going on at Moondrop right now. I'm very confused. Their tuning is in a very weird place right now. If it was me, I would be avoiding anything new from Moondrop for the time being. I did not like anything new they had at the booth. The tuning was weird. It was off. It was a mess. It was genuinely a mess. And not only that, it was also really expensive. Their prices have inflated like crazy. And I'm sure there's lots of economical reasons for that, but Moondrop has always been like the value kings for entry-level, really cool IEMs, the waifu IEMs. They were always a favorite, a community favorite, and my wife's favorite. Moondrop is my wife's favorite brand of headphones. But they didn't have anything there that was like the typical budget value to performance IEM that I come to expect from Moondrop. They didn't have anything. And anything that did sound okay, that did sound, I would say, maybe even good, was overly priced, way overly priced. I'm not sure what's happening with Moondrop right now, but unfortunately, I think it's probably a good idea to avoid them for right now until they get their tuning fixed, man, and their prices fixed, because it's a real shame. It's a real shame. I always try to make sure I buy something from the Moondrop table every time I go to CanJam. I didn't buy anything this year because it was just not really doing it for me. Okay, now we're on day two. Day two, let me remind you, I spent most of this day trying out like amps and DACs, and with a specific intent of seeing how well it could drive the new Tungsten V version 2s. And for whatever reason, I don't know why I did this to myself, but the first stop was Ampsandsound with their new Red October. Oh my God. First of all, let me say, Red October is such a badass name for this thing. I love that. I think that's so freaking cool. It means absolutely nothing in terms of how this thing's going to sound, but I love the name of this thing, the Red October. Oh, that's so freaking cool. So this is a massive headphone amplifier. I mean, gigantic. It weighs over 100 pounds, and it's just massive. And I'm going to try and zoom in on the picture here so you can see this. But what's really cool about it is that it has the outputs are marked for different impedances. So like low ohms, 16 ohms, 32 ohms. The one that I have it currently plugged into is the 150 ohms, and then high impedance that just kind of goes until the end. So really cool. I've never seen that before in an amplifier that has multiple outputs for different impedances. That's really, really neat. And yeah, of course, it ran the tungsten no problem at all. I mean, it has such a tremendous amount of power. And yeah, really, really beautiful. Beautiful sounding amplifier, beautifully made amplifier. What an incredible piece of machining. An incredible machine itself. It's man, that was... And I was told there at the table that yes, if you are wondering, the little plushies sitting on top there do indeed contribute to the sound quality, of course. So make sure you get the plush animal combo when you order one, I guess. If you order one, because, and here's the catch, $14,000. Oh, yeah, that's why I'm saying, why am I doing this to myself? Why am I starting my day with a $14,000 amplifier? But here we are. Yeah, it was amazing. It really was amazing. I stopped at the Schiit audio table, and they had the new Jotunheim 3. This thing was awesome. I'm going to step a little bit more to the side here so you can get a better view of that picture. What a cool system, man. Oh my gosh. The Jotunheim was already a really great amp, but now when you pair it with the mesh DAC it's an optional add-on for this amp, you can add on the mesh DAC. That mesh DAC will come with Forkbeard. And Forkbeard, I've never tried it until this show, is amazing. Forkbeard is cool as hell. So yeah, the Jotunheim 3 was amazing. It absolutely drove the tungsten like no problem. And man, it's just a cool looking design. I love the new heatsink on this thing. It just looks slick as hell. And what an incredible like all-in-one system if you go with the mesh DAC. And again, Forkbeard is so cool. I mean, it won't do any of us much good for me to break down what Forkbeard was like, but it's their own proprietary like tuning app, I guess. And man, is it freaking cool, and man, is it freaking powerful. I did talk with their reps, and I'm hoping to get some Schiit audio stuff here in the studio pretty soon. And then we can hopefully dig a lot deeper into Forkbeard, because Forkbeard is awesome. Also there at their booth was the Valhalla 3, this tube amplifier, which also looks sick as hell. Their new chassis designs are killing it, man. I love how it has these little like divots right where the tubes go in. Man, what a cool freaking design. And that also pretty dang powerful, and it sounded, from what I could tell, really, really nice. I don't know if those are the stock tubes that they had installed there at the show. I have to assume that they are, but you know, the thing about Schiit audio tube gear is the only kind of criticism I have about this, not even really a criticism, but a suggestion. I wish that they would somehow, I don't know, maybe sell the tube amps without tubes at a discount or something. Because one of the only drawbacks to some of Schiit's tube stuff is that the stock tubes aren't great. They're not the best kind of tubes. And obviously you can go crazy with tubes. With tube rolling, you can spend a ridiculous amount of money. And I'm not really suggesting that, but even upgrading to just slightly better tubes makes their stuff sound so much better. So, and again, it sounded great at the show from what I could tell. There on the show floor, who knows? I mean, I got the best impression I could, but even then, with all the noise, it sounded really freaking great. So yeah, the Valhalla 3 is kick-ass. I didn't get a picture of this, but they also had their new biggie, this enormous giant DAC, ridiculous DAC. And oh my God, what an incredible machine this thing is. If I could find a picture, I'll put it here. I didn't take a picture myself, but what a wild thing. And I mean, obviously it sounded as good as it possibly could in that environment, but it's just such a beast. What a freaking statement to have a device that huge in your rack or on your desk or whatever, because that thing was freaking cool. Jumping over to the FiiO booth, I did try out the new, was this the K13? The R2R DAC? Yeah, this thing was really neat. I love the little like window to see the internals on this thing. It's very, very cool. And it does like light up everywhere with this blue LEDs. I'm not the biggest fan of blue LEDs. but that's just me maybe. But this was a really cool device. I really liked the look of it. It was machined very well. The knobs were really satisfying to use. And it had pretty good power. I was able to, I didn't try the tungsten on them. I really should have, but this was day one, so I didn't have the tungstens with me at the time. However, I was able to run the DCA E3 on them without any issue. And it did sound pretty freaking good. I made my way back to the Woo Audio booth again, and on the second day, so I could try out their amplifiers with the tungsten. And I've talked about the WA23 before, but here it is again, and of course the WA24 as well. I do kind of prefer the 23 over the 24. The 24 has some niceties, but the 23 for one has the preamp, which the 24 I believe does not. And I don't know. I feel like the 23 just has a bit more kind of gritty character to it that I really like. And yeah, it also ran tungsten beautifully, no issues there. It's a beautifully machined amp. It's gorgeous. They're both gorgeous. I'll show pictures of both of them. Here's a 23, here's a 24. And yeah, they're beautiful amps. They really, really are. Pieces of art almost. Very expensive still, very expensive. But of course, they sound amazing. Woo Audio knows how to do premium amps for sure. The really cool one though was, of course, and I brought this up earlier in the video, the WA23 Mark II. This thing is a beast. What a ridiculous thing this thing is. It is basically the same as the original WA23, but the big difference, as I mentioned, is that this has an integration for ribbon headphones. Like the left port right there on the right side of the amp is specifically for ribbon headphones, and that's amazing. That's great because yeah, it makes any ribbon headphones sound pretty freaking great. I will say, talking about that RAAL headphone again, the RAAL comes with its own like energizer. I actually really preferred how that thing sounded on the 23 Mark II than on its own energizer. Like big time, big difference. Yeah, it's a really cool amp and just ridiculous amounts of power. It drove the tungsten beautifully, wonderfully, no surprises there. There it is. Yep. Okay. So this thing, this is the WA234 mono headphone amplifier. It's a headphone amplifier in monoblock amps. And this was ridiculous. This thing is insane. It has, how do I put this? So it's a dedicated amplifier for each channel of your headphone. So to actually like adjust the volume on this thing, you have to adjust it on both at the same time. Now, as explained, the reason why they wanted this to be a feature of this ridiculous amplifier was for people that had imbalances in their listening. Like maybe you had a little bit more damage in one ear than the other. You can, on the fly, manually adjust that volume to like exactly where you want it. And it really did a phenomenal job. I was playing around with that and it was like throwing my music all around the place. It was really freaking cool. And what's additionally cool about this, and additionally what I think is adding a lot to its price tag, are these little things. What are they called? These are called switching keys. So each of these has like, I guess, its own impedance on it. They're little keys that you pop onto the top of the amplifier, and like there's a key for ribbon headphones, for example. So there's a specific button for ribbons. You would pop that into the top of the amplifiers if you're listening to ribbon headphones. Cathode output headphones, there's ones for that. So there's different keys, switching keys for different kinds of headphones that you are using. I don't know the science behind how this is working exactly. It is very cool, very kind of modular, and there's this whole like ritual to like popping them in and trying out the headphone. Very, very cool. Also, very, very expensive at $24,000. But yeah, branded tungsten's great. Okay, now let's kind of bring things down to a bit more realistic. For the very first time, and I can't believe that this is the first time I've had the opportunity to do this, I stopped by the Mass Kobo table and I got to try out their whole suite, everything they had there. And wow, just amazing bits of equipment, amazing machining, amazing bits of gear, man. Those things are remarkable. And the story behind Mass Kobo is also incredible. If you don't know the story of Masuda-san, the creator of this brand, this headphone whatever. He is such a cool guy. Oh my God. His story is remarkable. He's so freaking cool. His shop is incredible. If you don't know anything about him, if you don't know anything about Mass Kobo, absolutely worth a quick internet research. Spend an hour or two looking them up. What a cool story. What a cool guy. And genuinely incredible hardware. Okay, so first I tried the Model 433. This is the kind of smaller version. They had like the portable version. I didn't try the portable one. I went for just like the desktop amps. And the Model 433. Gorgeous, stunning, beautiful. It sounds remarkable, and it powered the tungsten just fine. I did have to kind of push it. Like I think I maybe had the knob at almost max volume for it to be at where I would say a loud sort of volume, but it made them sound beautiful. If maybe not the loudest amp for a tungsten, even the more efficient V2, man, did it sound beautiful. So clean and clear and full of depth and articulation. It was such a lovely, lovely sound. The Mass Kobo house sound, let me put this out front here. The Mass Kobo house sound scales linearly with each amp. So it's the same house sound, but it gets improved every step as you climb the ladder of these amplifiers. It really, really does. Not a lot of brands really do that. You go to the more premium amp and it sounds pretty significantly different than their lower tier amps. Not really so with the Mass Kobo stuff. It's the same house sound, but it gets improved upon and improved upon and improved upon. And I thought that was really impressive. So I also tried the 485, Mass Kobo Model 485. And this was kind of the sweet spot for the tungsten specifically. I was able to run the tungsten version 2 on the 485 in low gain. That's wild to me. Wild. And it sounded remarkable. Just remarkable. It was one of the most compelling sounding solutions for a tungsten that I have heard. And that's saying something when I'm hearing it in this loud showroom. Like, man, if I get the opportunity to get some Mass Kobo gear here, I'm going to suck that up with a freaking milkshake straw. I'm going to dig deep into that because this stuff is genuinely remarkable. Another new amplifier that actually did a really, really great job for the tungstens is the new HeadAmp. Which one is this called? The CFA3. Yeah, the new CFA3 from HeadAmp. What a beast of a amplifier. It's huge. It's giant. It's got crazy amounts of power. But oh boy, did it sound good with tungstens. It sounded fantastic. Lots of air, lots of space, and lots of punchy, lovely, dynamic joy in this thing. Man, was that a good experience. Very, very layered, very, very complex. Lots of like Z-axis layering in your sound and your music, and the imaging is just, oh, it's such a great experience with this thing. I was kind of blown away by it. I thought that the CF3 here, it's just a remarkable headphone amplifier. It really, really is. It's a big boy and it ain't cheap, but my gosh, what a freaking killer system. Holy cow. Another booth that I visited before, but never really had much of an opportunity to really sink my teeth into was Violectric. I visited them last year and I did try a few of their models, but they were really, I felt like I was getting kind of pushed around there in my chair last year because the people were so wanting to hear the Violectric stuff. So I didn't really dedicate a lot of time with it. I made sure to give myself more time this year with them to really, really dig into it. And sure enough, they're all amazing. Violectric stuff is incredible. My gosh. But yeah, starting with which one is this? The V226. Ran the new Mark II tungstens beautifully with plenty of volume and plenty of headroom at 2 o'clock. And that's just ridiculous. That's just ridiculous. This is their smaller unit. 2 o'clock with all that extra headroom, and it ran the tungsten beautifully. Stunning. Wonderful. We bump it up again to the V324. This is the new one, the new 324 with the freaking gorgeous VU meters on here. What a cool freaking looking box, man. So freaking cool. This thing has so many gain options. It's like wild. It is ridiculous. I mean, look at that knob there. goes, you can see -12 all the way up to +12 gain. You move that thing around and it'll just bump that gain up. It was freaking crazy. And again, beautiful, stunning. Ran the tungstens at +6 gain at 3 o'clock. No problem. Beautifully loud, crystal clear, no noise, no distortion, and just, again, this lovely articulation to it. All this, it's hard to explain. It's hard to really describe, especially when I didn't get the best, experience there at the showroom floor. But it sounded, even then, even there with all that noise, sounded amazing. So much texturing. I think that's it. I think that the Violectric stuff just has so much texturing compared to other amplifiers out there. Like, it's still very clean and clear, but there's this extra bit of to it that's just really, really nice. Really freaking nice. And then you jump up one more tier to the absolutely incredible V281. Limited edition. This thing is bonkers. A little bit similar to Mass Kobo. The Violectric sound, again, kind of in a linear fashion, goes up with every amplifier. It is very much still its own Violectric house sound, and it just, again, kind of like with the Mass Kobo stuff, just gets better and better the higher you climb. And yeah, the V281, ridiculous, beautiful, stunning. What a stunning amplifier. And my understanding is that they are discontinuing this model. Am I hearing that right? Did I read that right? I'll have to double check that. I'll make a marker right here if that is correct information or not. But I hope that they don't, because that thing was ridiculous. That thing was, if you've been with the channel for a while, you know that my favorite combination for powering the classic version 1 of the Modhouse Tungstens was dual flux slabs acoustic mentors. What an insane setup that is, with some 30-something watts per channel of power. Absolutely ridiculous. Overkill, as I said frequently in that video. This thing, the V281, is probably, and again, this is at the showroom floor, mind you, that thing came closest to the mentors I could tell there at the show, which tells me that if I had one here in a controlled environment, it might even be better. It might even be better than dual mentors, because that was beautiful. That was remarkably cool, remarkably great sounding. Man, it just gave so much depth and character and resolution to the tungstens. What a beautiful amp. What a beautiful amp. Man, I can't gush enough about it. And the last thing I'll talk about when it comes to amplifier solutions for the tungsten and just stuff in general is the new topping A900 and D900. This is a big stack. These are big units. You can't tell too well from the picture here, but these were big. Like that. They were big boys. And they were really pretty dang cool. The VU meter on there isn't real. It's a digital display, but you can get whatever you want displayed down there. You have all sorts of options in the DAC as well on top. And it did sound great. It sounded wonderful, even with the tungsten. But, and I didn't know this until I got back into town, I was not listening to this thing optimally, because it has gain settings, which I assumed it would have. I assumed that it would have different gains, because the problem was when I tried to play the tungsten on this thing, it was a little bit quiet. I maxed that thing out and I wanted more, which didn't make any sense to me, because I know this thing has something like 20-something watts per channel of power output. So it didn't make sense to me. I had to assume it was that I was maybe running this in low gain. So I even talked to the rep there at the table, like, hey, does this thing have like a gain switch somewhere? I don't see it. I feel like I'm in low gain. And they couldn't find it either. So we kind of just came to the conclusion, oh, maybe it doesn't have a gain switch. So, but it didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Why is it so freaking quiet? Sure enough, yeah, it does. It does have gain. I believe there are 3 different levels of gain. And by default, yeah, it plays in low gain. That was the problem. So I desperately want to get this stack here to try it out properly with proper gain. But what's really cool about it, what's really cool about this, the A900 in particular, look at all those headphone outputs, right? There's a bunch. What's really, really cool is that there's a bit of repetition here. Those two smaller ports on the right side, those are both 1/4 inch. And then we have XLR balance, and then dual XLR balance if you want to do like a split. So that might be like, well, why on earth would you need that redundancy? Well, it's because this amplifier is built to allow you to put power to all of these outputs at once. There's an actual like switch, an option to do that, where you can have it only put out amplification to specific outputs if you want. Like if you just want to come out of the left 4.4 millimeter or the right 4.4 millimeter, you can make it do that. But you can also have it delineate all of its output to all of the headphone outputs at once, which means you can listen to multiple headphones at the same time. It's designed to do that, which is really unique. You can kind of get away with that sometimes with some amplifiers that have different outputs, but it's generally not something you want to do because most headphone amplifiers are not designed to output to more than one output at a time. This thing is designed to be able to do that. I think that's really cool. And yeah, I really desperately want to do more with this if I'm given the option, because that was really neat. And I would love to hear how the tungsten really sound on this thing in proper gain. So whatever, I still think it was a pretty cool option. So yeah, that was my CanJam SoCal 2025 experience. And this is probably a really long video, and I didn't really intend it to be, but that's what happens when you just flap your mouth around without much of a plan. So if I had to pick out the one thing that was the best highlight of going to CanJam SoCal 2025, it was being able to hang out with the people that I know, that the other creators I know that I got to mingle with and chat with again, and going to the vendors that I'm familiar with that I know that I got to meet face to face for the first time. That's all the best thing about CanJam is the people. People are always the best thing. That's very cliche, I know, but it's just the truth. It's the truth. The gear is great. The people are better. But yeah, it was a really great show. It was a lot. It was very dense, sometimes overwhelmingly so. I had to take a break a couple of times just because I was getting so freaking worn out. But it was a great show. It was a great show. Probably, I would say, yeah, I think I would say this is probably the best CanJam I've been to so far. And it was a great time, and I will definitely be there again next year. So thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this, and I will see you again soon.